Welcome to all of you. Please take your seats, and if there are any other not registered that can join, please invite also there. Dear all, thank you to be here. I'm very excited to open this side event that is named European EU Food Policy Strikes Again, that will be shared what the cities are doing in Europe to innovate the way into co-designing food policy. I am Andrea Magarini. I am the chair of Eurocities Working Group Food, and as well the food policy coordinator of the city of Milan. And our side event is organized to connect and to see each other for the first time 5 different European projects that are working on the same page of developing innovation at urban level and developing urban food policy as a cluster of cities and a cluster of projects. And we are particularly proud to be here hosted by the Milan Pact Global Forum, because it's the first time to connect with a wider community of the Pact and not just only in Europe. After the introduction from myself and European Commission representative, we will have a panel with a representative from Sabadell in Spain, Warsaw in Poland, Turin in Italy, Avignon in France, and Bruges in Belgium, moderated by Yael Panzer from the Slow Food Europe. The panel will be followed by a roundtable with MUFPP representative, moderated by Janja De Cunto from Eurocities. And without any further delay, let me introduce a person that from several years is pushing the topic of urban food system in European institutions. Please open the online connection with Karen Fabri. That from the European Commission. She is the Deputy Head of Unit of Bioeconomy and Food System. One of the persons that within the DG Research is pushing the topic of Food 2030 strategy since the beginning. And if she's connected, one second, yeah. In the meantime, we will show a cartoon, but no. She is connected, we know that Karen is connected. We are working with Karen since 2015, because this strategy of the European Commission named Food 2030 was launched in Milan during the World Expo, and is the research strategy of the European Commission to innovate the urban food system. And since that period, the Commission launched other initiatives, and like the Farm to Fork, as all of you already know, but is very connected to the wider European food system. Our task as city is to try to raise our voice to connect with the European institution and each other by working together and working with researchers, working with stakeholders, civil society, other institutions together. I see if we have some issue maybe with the connection after. Okay, so we change our program, and I take the introduction from myself. We are together as a community of cities. We are here hosted by Food Trails project. That is a project that is managed by the city of Milan, is an horizon. And here with us there are representatives from other 5 projects that are Food Shift 2030, Foodie, Fusilli, and Cities 2030. Together, then in the panel, we can go much more in detail with a representative from one city per each consortium. And I mentioned that we are a community of people, because within the Milan Pact community, we are connecting mayors, city officers all around the world to try to commit to ambitious goal and to transforming from the ground our local food system. And we are also not just people, but we are representative of cities. And so here in the slide, you can see all the knowledge of a food policy shared all around the world. because since the beginning of the launch of this Milan Pact, the City of Milan and the Cariplo Foundation launched the Milan Pact Award. That is a prize, not just a prize, but is a powerful initiative to understand what the different cities are doing on their food policy. So they signed the Milan Pact, but the Milan Pact is not just a sign, but is a community, and with the Milan Pact Awards, we notice year per year the different spreading of the food policy within our cities. And coming back to Europe, we met twice a year within the Eurocities Working Group Food. Eurocities is the main association of mayors and of cities all around Europe, and is organized in working group, in task force, and we established in 2016 a working group on food. And we met again twice a year with a specific topic on food policy. And this is our knowledge and already our also friendship relation each other, and I see very new faces among you. And in Europe, before, I think that we have two moments. So since 2015 up 2019, and after a huge effort to sharing each other our practices. So in the slide you can see the cities that all around Europe are participating in the Milan Pact Award. So the cities that are already working in their local context and share within the Milan Pact community their efforts. And here you can see also a graph on what they are spreading in the different European countries and the quantity of food policy shared per year. And here you can see the different categories on which the cities are working, the different field of action on which the cities are working, governance, so establish a food policy, establish a food council, as well as sustainable diets and nutrition. Everything concerning school canteens, for instance, are action in which all of us are working, as well food supply and distribution. And you can notice also that from 2020, so last year, during the COVID, the major efforts of cities was on social and economic equity and from food supply and distribution. So everything concerning food aid was the period of the lockdown. We also tried to connect all of this knowledge with Food 2030, the initiative that the European Commission is launched, that is managed by Karen Fabri, that hopefully can be connected in a few minutes, and that are organized in 4 priorities: circularity, nutrition, climate, and innovation. And you can see that the city are working primarily also on innovation. That is, innovation in food for Food 2030 is an approach to empower the local communities to work together with other actors at local level. And on the last part of the slide, you can see the participation city per cities. So there are cities more active, like Almere, Birmingham, Milan, Turin, Valencia, Ghent, Ljubljana, and so on, and cities that are starting moving their first step on this wonderful topic. This is not just graphs, are knowledge that we are also starting to share on the website of the Milan Urban Food Policy Pact. And what happens in 2019? The European Commission launched for the first time a set of Horizons call, that is a project, a set of projects, a call for proposal that are promoting from the research direction of the European Commission to try to understand the potentiality for a city to develop their food policy and to innovate their food system, working between city administration, so city officer, with researcher and with European stakeholders. And this is the result, because after two calls was funded 5 European projects. Here we have a representative for all of these 5 European projects. Unfortunately, the line that connected all the cities is not is visible. But we see that there was an upgrading thanks to this project, because the cities are not just working in their local context and share within the Milan Pact community their effort, but are working together like a unique team, not just with cities, but with academics, stakeholders, private sector, civil society. And we have a testimony from ourselves as the Food Trails, and on your chair you can see also an overview of Food Trails. We are already working as a team, so there are any kind of diversity to working with internal colleagues from the city of Milan to working with the entire consortium, because after the COVID, with Teams, with Zoom, we are already a unique team. And just a few figures of this slide. So again, 5 different projects: Food Trails, Food Shift 2030, Fusilli, Cities 2030, and Foodie. And for each of them, a set of cities and city administration connected. Are 43 the European local authorities engaged, so municipality, metropolitan authority, and in one case, a neighborhood authority. And 26 of them are already signatory cities of the Milan Urban Food Policy Pact or of Eurocities Working Group Food. So we are a platform that are working together. Within this city, there are 8 big cities, so plus than 1 million of inhabitants, and together we are representing 26 million of inhabitants. It's also important to notice how many funds are allocated to this initiative, because the European Commission invests 58 million euros, so a huge quantity of money for this initiative, in which about 60 million are directly for the municipal budgets. Which is important because, as you know, as city officer, when the municipality need to spend something, need to organize themselves. So this is also important to empower the city administration, and this is very, very important. This is one of the results that we want to show also in the future. We are working together as a project family, as already mentioned, and there is like a joke because, as you know, when cities, partners, university are working to participate in European calls, are very competitive because there are a grant to win, but when we start working together, we are collaborative approach, and we are working together again. Our hopefully is to work as a project family like this, not maybe like this, but yeah, like the Adams family. And no, joking apart, I leave to you the game to associate people from member of Adams family to our project, but no, sorry. Now maybe we can connect with Karen Fabri for the European Commission. And please, Karen is connected. Okay, open the connection. Karen?
Hello, Andrea, and hello, everyone. I'm really delighted to be with you here today for this event. Apologies, I've had some connection issues, so I just managed to get on. So I'm a little bit nervous here. I'm going to try and share my screen if that's possible, so I can show some slides while I'm speaking. So just let me find the right. Here we go. All right. So I hope this is visible to everyone. So my name is Karen Fabri, and I'm Deputy Head of Unit of Bioeconomy and Food Systems in DG Research and Innovation of the European Commission. So basically, I sit in Brussels, and what I do is I work on food systems research and innovation policy, and we're very fortunate now because. We have something called the Farm to Fork strategy. It's a new strategy under the European Green Deal of the Commission. So when the new Commission came into play, a whole new set of policy priorities was tabled by our hierarchy, our president and the commissioners, and the Farm to Fork strategy is one of these that are responsible to making Europe climate neutral and green, along with a number of other strategies and targets. So the basis of this strategy is really to achieve sustainable food systems that bring together the 3 pillars of sustainability, so the economic sustainability, the environmental sustainability, and of course the social sustainability. And this strategy, which is very much now a kind of a a guiding light for our activities, even on research and innovation in this area, has a total of 27 actions, official actions with it, a whole series of targets and objectives. And some of these, I'm just going to give a few examples of these to make this more concrete. So I think one of the most exciting ones is this new legislative framework for sustainable food systems that will come out in 2023. There is a recent success was the new EU Code of Conduct for Responsible Business and Marketing, which was just released, I believe, last month, that brings together businesses for responsible sustainable food systems. There's going to be work on food labeling, on EU food waste reduction targets, and much, much more. And so, of course, research and innovation will be really key to underpinning many of the solutions that we will need to set forth to achieving those targets and objectives. So what do we mean by Food 2030? What is it really? It's what we call a policy framework, a research and innovation policy framework. We set this up in 2016 as an outcome of the Milan World Expo that took place from May to October of 2015, during which the Commission had many, many events, over 200 events. There were many workshops, dialogues, debates, and the outcome of all that process was really led us to understand that we couldn't keep working the way we were working, which was in a very siloed and sectoral approach to research and innovation. And we then worked very closely together with our other policy DGs, so DG Agri, DG Santé, and others, DG Environment, and came up with this concept of Food 2030, which was really an attempt to look at overarching priorities, putting the whole food system together, so from production all the way to healthy consumption and healthy citizens and all the waste streams associated with that, tackling really 4 priorities, because we thought that we couldn't just tackle one of these at the expense of the others. We really had to have a way of thinking, a systemic way of thinking that would enable us to achieve multiple benefits because of the urgency at stake. So the first of these priorities is nutrition for sustainable and healthy diets, then the climate smart and environmentally sustainable aspects, and the circular and resource efficient ones, and finally the need to innovate and empower communities. And all of this through research breakthroughs, through innovation and investment, through open science and citizen science, and fostering international collaboration. So that's basically the narrative of our Food 2030 policy framing to future-proof our food systems so they can be sustainable, resilient, responsible, diverse, competitive, and inclusive. And so then work went on. We started to think of, how are we going to move from Horizon Europe, which was Horizon 2020, which was our former research and innovation framework, to Horizon Europe, which is the new one that started this year, so in 2021 up to 2027. And we thought that we had to do more than just provide this framing, which, by the way, was also key to underpinning much of the work that went on in the reflections of the Farm to Fork strategy, where research and innovation is really identified as a key driver or lever of change. So we went from this Food 2030 thinking to very concrete areas in which we knew we would have to work. So these are our Food 2030 pathways of action, and there's 10 of them. There's 10 of them, and urban food system transformation is one of these 10. And it's these pathways, and I'm going to read them out. So beyond urban food systems, so we have governance and systems change. We also have food from the oceans and freshwater resources, alternative proteins and diet shift, food waste and resource efficiency, the microbiome world cutting across the whole food system, healthy, sustainable, and personalized nutrition, food safety systems of the future, Food Systems Africa, and Food Systems and Data, which is all the digital aspects. So our plan now is to take these issues, which we know can contribute or deliver on these co-benefits that I mentioned earlier. So nutrition, climate, circularity, and innovation, to deploy those through Horizon Europe in the next calls. So if I look at urban food systems transformation, and we developed this booklet called Our Food 2030 Pathways for Action. And one of the chapters in that book is urban food system transformation. And it mentions a number of barriers and lock-ins that we know we have to overcome and enablers of change. So some of those barriers and lock-ins, for instance, are the lack of EU and national frameworks. Now we start to see the EU framework, which is the farm to fork strategy. And we have to ask ourselves, what's going to happen at national level? And also with respect to governance structures. I don't know what's going to happen. I think the legislative framework might be a vehicle for what is going to happen at other levels of governance. We know that there's lack of resources to seed and support urban food system transformation. There's lack of awareness, and we also know that there's policy incoherence. So these are some of the things that we know we need to tackle. And there's enablers of change. For instance, data and monitoring, vertical and multi-scale governance, horizontal city-level governance, participatory processes. We know that they're really key in bringing about urban food systems transformation, and others. I won't go into them because I don't have much time, but a lot of the work that you're doing in these projects is in fact trying to address these barriers and lock-ins and move forward on these enablers of change. And I'd just like to mention that in Horizon 2020, we funded 9 projects for over 80 million euros. So these are important levels of investment, and so many things are happening in cities throughout Europe because of the engagement of many of these projects. So cities and place-based innovation are really at the heart of much of the work we're doing. And if I can pass some key messages is, be proactive, be part of the solutions and actions under the Green Deal and Farm to Fork strategy, and build on the momentum of the UN Food Systems Summit. And rethink your urban strategies to develop solutions that deliver these co-benefits to environment, to society, to businesses, to small businesses and local communities, implementing what we call a responsible research and innovation approach. And use the Food 2030 pathways for action to identify areas where there can be more investment and more action on these issues at local scale, in their urban-rural interface, and also at regional scale. Just a few words on Horizon Europe, if I may, Andrea.
Yes, please.
Just so you understand, because it's a very complex animal. And I'm going to try and make it simple for you. So Horizon Europe has basically 3 big pillars. The first, Pillar 1 and Pillar 3, so excellent science and innovative Europe, are very much of a bottom-up process, whereas Pillar 2, the one where we're working on food systems directly, so food, bioeconomy, natural resources, agriculture, and environment, is more of a top-down structure, because we write the calls for proposals, we write the topics that are very much linked to the Green Deal objectives and the various strategies and targets within it. And in so doing, it's through there that we are deploying our Food 2030 pathways for action and the work on food systems. So what's important here to understand is that all of these pathways that we are deploying through Horizon Europe are really aiming to achieve co-benefits. I can't seem to move forward on my screen. Here, there we go. So another thing that underpins these pathways is that they all need to be systemic, inter and transdisciplinary, multi-actor, that include primary producers all the way to including civil society, researchers, and policymakers. And it's in these issues where we think place-based approaches will really be key to testing, to demonstrating, experimenting, deploying, partnering, learning, and sharing. So just a word to explain how the work program looks like. We have a number of destinations in the work program, and it's important to know that all the food system related activity is not just in the Destination 2, which is called Fair, Healthy, Environmentally Friendly Food Systems from Primary Production to Consumption, but also in 2 other destinations. So Destination 6, Resilient, Inclusive, Healthy, and Green Rural, Coastal, and Urban Communities. This is where you will find the urban food system transformation topics. And then we also have topics in Destination 7, which basically deals with governance. So it's important to know that, because if you're going to look for places where you can submit proposals, it's important to look in all 3 destinations. Just to mention that we have an info day coming up very soon now in, I believe it's 26th of October. So please do join us for those info days on the 2022 topics. And I'm going to just skip to this slide, which is information on our food systems partnership. So we are building a partnership entitled Safe and Sustainable Food Systems for People, Planet, and Climate, which should begin in 2023. And we've released some information on this recently, and we'll be working very closely together with the SCAR, Standing Committee for Agricultural Research, Food Systems Working Group, represented by the member states, to launch this partnership in 2023. And we have to see to what extent urban food systems transformation may well be included in this partnership. Another novelty of Horizon Europe is its 5 flagship missions, and there are a number that are relevant to food systems, in particular one on soil health and food. And we recently released a communication on these missions, so you can find that online on our Europa website. And just to mention, I've made a list here of some milestones. We just had the Farm to Fork conference, in which we integrated our Food 2030 work. This took place last week, 14th and 15th of October. If you haven't had a chance to see it, I suspect that things will be online to be reviewed soon. And I look forward to liaising with any of you in any of our future events. So please don't hesitate to join our stakeholder list. I have placed a link here in the slide so that you can be kept up to date on what's happening in terms of publications and new calls and events. So I stop with this. Andrea, I give the floor back to you.
Thank you.
And I don't know if there's any time for questions. It's in your hands.
Yeah, please, if you can stay with us also for the entire side event, and at the end you can interact for the Q&A. But again, thanks Karen to join us, and we have also organized during the Farm to Fork conference last week, an official side event that already engaged with the Food 2030 project family. This is the second time in which we publicly discuss each other, and we want to do also in the future. But now I leave the floor to Yael Panzer from Slow Food Europe, that will moderate the last part, the session of debate among the different cities. Please.
Thank you, Andrea, and thank you, everyone. I would invite speakers to take the seat on the stage. So I'm inviting Pietro Tonini from the Foodie Project, representing the University of Bologna and the Municipality of Sabadell, Natalia Boiteux from Food Trails and representing the city of Warsaw, Giacomo Pettenati, representing the Project Fusilli from the University of Turin, Elsa Schiffard from Food Shift, representing the city of Avignon, and then we will have Karine de Batzelier joining us online, representing the city of Bruges for the project Cities 2030. So thank you all for being here. It's a real pleasure to moderate this session. I am Yael Panzer from Slow Food, representing as well the Food Trails project. So today's session will be about co-creation, which is an essential tool not only for engaging citizens, but to really make sure that our food policies are more effective and inclusive. So in this sense, co-creation is really at the center of the Food Trails project, as well as the other projects from the 2030 family. And today then we will exchange and investigate what are the best practices from the different projects in order to build more concrete approaches and sound policies across Europe. And just to mention that in Food Trails, we started the project with a mapping on co-creation and participatory policies, because we found that it is essential as a first step to understand what are the key tools and methodologies in order to involve citizens for the creation of better and more effective policies. And in this sense, also the conference of today is really to understand what other projects are doing in this regard. So I will invite Pietro Tonini from the University of Bologna and representing also the municipality of Sabadell to take the floor. And I would like, you can stay still as you prefer.
Maybe I can take out the mask.
Yes, thank you. And if you can...
I don't have the slides.
The slides?
No, I don't have the slides.
You don't have the slides, great. So we will start maybe with the first question to you. What are the key objectives of the foodie methodology for stakeholders' engagement in Sabadell? If you could let us know a bit more about it.
Okay, thank you very much for inviting me. First of all, I would like just to correct you. I'm from the University of Barcelona. I've studied in the University of Bologna. The project is led by the University of Bologna. And I'm representing these two partners in the Catalonia region, that is the municipality of Sabadell and the University Autónoma of Barcelona, that we lead the stakeholder board of the region of Catalonia, where there were involved civil society, research institute, enterprise, especially cooperative and farmer, and also other kind of association that is linked with food literacy. How we engage the actors, we engage it most of all in three topics. The first one is the characterization of the city region food system initiatives in one first survey that we develop. And in the second step, we ask the feedback of the actor on another survey to evaluate the social, environmental and economic impact of this city region food system initiative. In the second topic where we engage the actors were related to the app is a foodie app that we develop within the project that actually you can download starting from December. That actually the focus of the app was related to mapping and connecting the city region food system along Europe, and we ask to the actor to be the first people involved to experience the app, so asking the feedback to them, how the usability of this app. And then the last part where we involved the actors was related to the co-creation of the pilot project that we develop in the municipality of Sabadell. During the foodie project, there are 8 pilot where we apply the previous mentioned system of methodology of assessment. In Sabadell, there are 2 pilot. One is related to the peri-urban system in the Park Agrari of Sabadell, and the other one is within the city of Sabadell in the city center. So basically, we ask to the actor to we present to the actor a sort of list of 3 different topics. One is 10 different activities, the other one is 10 different ecosystem service, and 10 degree of sustainability, and we ask to the actor to prioritize these different activities that we propose in order to create the public the public convocatory to develop this project within the city.
Thank you. Okay, can you hear me? Yes, great, thank you. Thank you so much. It's really interesting to hear also how through technology you engage citizens and how you can really involve them in indeed setting the priorities. I guess this is one of the key messages that we should take, the fact that co-creation is not only about responding to the needs that we believe are the ones of the citizenship and of the citizens of the municipality, but really to understand with them what are the needs. So to have them define what should the policy objectives be. So really congratulations for the great results that you are achieving and for the steps that you're taking forward. And I will now leave the floor to Natalia, who will speak from the city of Warsaw. Sorry, sorry. Thank you. And there should be a presentation for Natalia. She will speak about the experience with the Food Trails project, and you could tell us maybe more about how the living clubs are structuring action in Warsaw to prevent food waste.
Yes, so hello everyone. Thank you for this opportunity to present what is happening in Warsaw. So I will go back a little bit more in time because we started to ask ourselves how to create and support innovations together with our citizens more or less 2 years ago. And we decided that we need to find a method that understand the needs, and so we are inscribing ourselves also too in this dimension that want to understand the needs, but also co-create the solutions to them together with the citizens. And in order to do that, we reached out to researchers and decided to create a method we will use then in the city. So we even published a handbook for cities in order to know how to design public solutions basing on that. So to focus on food trace, and this is also a huge opportunity for us because we will have the possibility to really test and adapt further our method. Then also to tackle the crucial topic of food system transformation in our city that emerged too within the last years. Yes, so just to show you a little bit more about what's crucial to us also within this project is the cooperation with our expert team, and here we are cooperating with the University of Social Sciences and Humanities in Warsaw, and here we have a big mix of different competences. We match the research and theoretical aspects together with experience on the ground, and that is crucial to us to have these both dimensions, and so that we also have inspiration from also their experience on the ground in addition to that. So this is thanks to us also that we are developing the method, and our method is inspiring and is using different approaches. So first we are basing on behavioral science and this nudge theory aspect, and we have our original methods, which is designed by the experts we are working with. And here we will based on the fact that when we simply shape the environment in a given way, we also shape the choice architecture, and then there is the likelihood that one option will be chosen more than another one, which would be more beneficial. And then we also have this system thinking approach, and also we look at the ecosystem from a broad perspective, and we take into consideration the structure, stakeholders, obviously, and the system patterns. So within such a complex issue like food system transformation, it is necessary. Then we have the human-centered design, and that's what we started with at the beginning, what I say, that we really want to look at and integrate the beneficiaries in the problem-solving process. So here it's really very important for us to be in a constant interaction with them. And finally, we also have the approach of sustainable and even regenerative design. That's a further step we would like to take. Well, sustainable means simply that we want to have the less impact possible on the environment. So on what we will focus in our living lab. So we will focus on food waste prevention and reduction. And how did we decide that? Well, it's a multifaceted global problem, and in Poland we also have it, obviously, and Warsaw is no different in that matter. And also, while drafting our food policy, we identified this issue as one of the most pressing one. And we decided to focus really on one topic, because at the beginning we thought maybe we will take different topics and address them, but finally we choose to focus on one and have a set of different solutions, an ecosystem of different solutions, which could be complementary and addressing also different target groups. And here we choose also, basing on the desk research previously, of course, we went also to look inside what have been already done and research and what kind of data we have. And then we decided to focus on 3 segments which are responsible for food waste, so households, retail, and HoReCa segments. And within each of the segments, we will focus on subgroups. And here we selected also students, small restaurants, and city marketplaces. And so we will have 3 kind of policy interventions that will be designed together with the stakeholders. So here we have also the quote, "Don't make people think." Of course, during the Living Lab process, we want people to think. But that's for the solution we want to find out, and we want to create that. We would like the beneficiaries not to think too much while implementing it. We want that to be based on intuition and easily adapted to our daily lives. And just so quickly so that you can see the process itself, well, we start with reframing the issues. So we identify who and when does not behave as we would like them to behave. And then when we know that already, we are analyzing the factors which are obstructing this specific positive behaviors we want like the actors to have, the beneficiaries to have. And I will also add that for us in Food Trace, what is very interesting and important is that we have also some budget allocated for experts analysis, and that will help us too, because we don't have all the data necessary to address the topic. Then we will create a solution when we already know what are the obstructing factors, so we will search for solutions, and so here we will have 3 sets of them for each of the subgroup. Then we will check it, test it. We will see if it needs some modifications or not, and then we hope for scaling out with that. So that was it.
Thank you. Thank you, Natalia. That was really, really interesting how you can really identify one key problem and have a very systemic and straightforward thinking about the steps that you should take, at the same time having the flexibility to change towards the path to adapt. We really look forward to see what the results would be, and we really hope that this will tackle the problem of food waste in Warsaw, and that it can represent an example for other cities to follow as well. And I will now leave the word to Giacomo Pettenati, Fusilli project from the University of Turin. And I would ask you to tell us a bit more about how is the Fusilli project path toward to the development of a food policy, and how are you engaging with the civil society and local stakeholders in this project?
Thank you. Thank you very much for inviting me as well. So I represent here the University of Turin, which is a third party of the project Fusilli, third party of the city of Turin, which is one of the partners. We provide like strategic and technical support to the project. And I will focus exactly on how this project is becoming a crucial step for, hopefully, the implementation of an institutional food policy in Turin. First, I begin by setting the scene a little bit, so presenting you the context. And I start by saying that Turin's one is a challenging, and at the same vibrant food system. Why? Turin is a city of about 800, 900 people, which become 1.5 million if we consider the metropolitan area, but it is a post-industrial shrinking city, and the food system mirrors all the problems of this being a shrinking and post-industrial city, like aging, food poverty, unemployment, food behavior-related diseases, and so on. But at the same time, it's a very vibrant food system because food is becoming one of the pillars of the refunctionalization of Turin, no? So becoming something else after being the one company town for like 50 years, together with tourism, culture, universities, and so on. We can say that in Turin there are many practices of how we can call food citizenship. No, Andrea Magarini was mentioning the many practices that applied for the Milan Urban Food Policy Pact Award coming from Turin, and we have to say even if in Turin there is not a formal food policy yet, so there is like a lot of food politics but not a food policy, and there are some, let's say, very strong strengths of the local food system related to the relationships between the core urban area and the productive area that surrounds the city, both in terms of, let's say, daily food. We have 42 farmers markets every day in the city, which is a lot, I think. And but also for what concerns like specialty food. Now, for example, wine. We have the let's say World Heritage landscape by the vineyard landscapes of Langhe, Roero, Monferrato, and so on. And in this context, in this scene, there are multiple processes that are aiming to develop a local food policy, and they started like in 2013 at least. No, I can mention at least four. One was called Nutrire Torino Metropolitana, so feeding the metropolitan city, which was a participatory process led by the metropolitan city of Turin, so the province level, which, let's say, created a participatory food agenda for the city of Turin. Then we had a project called DEAR, which was part of Food for Cities for Development, which is like another European Union framework, which aimed to create like a food council, but it never happened. And then we have the strategic plan of the city of Turin, aiming to create a food commission, but that never happened. So we had many different actors working together towards a Turin food policy. That was also the title of a publication which collects all the food practices we could map in Turin. But this never got to, let's say, institutional and formal food policy because of different types of barriers that are political, that are institutional, that are, I think also related to the fact that all these processes were linked to a project. And so when the project finished, if the outcome is not ready yet, it never going to happen. No? So this is, I think, something we should consider. In this context, the project Fusilli arrived to the city. Fusilli is a big project with more than 33 partners and 12 million euros of funding. And at the core of the project, there are 12 living labs in 12 different cities. Turin is one of them. And exactly the main objective is to develop urban food plans within each local context, adopting a co-creation, of course, process. Of course, in line with the 4 priorities of the Food 2030 policy, so all of them. And in Turin, this is going on now. So we are like setting we are starting the implementation of the Living Lab following this framework. So I'm not like saying much about it, but I'm saying that the aim of the municipality, which is leading the process, of course, is to involve as much the higher number possible of actors, and the thing is that actors are already there now because they are all actors of these many food politics examples and food policy practices, and they can be involved in this process. So as you can see in the slide, the Food Policy Living Lab, which is going to be implemented in Turin, okay, at the top of the slide you see the team, so the partners which are participating to the project in Turin, so the city, the Fondazione di Comunità Mirafiori, which is a very interesting subject because one of the first neighborhood food communities in the city. It's also linked to slow food. And then the 2 universities working in the city, so University of Turin and the University of Gastronomic Science, and Orti Generale, which is an NGO active in urban gardens and community regeneration in one of the neighborhood, which is like a symbol for living labs in Turin. It's like the living lab where many projects are implemented in the city, which is Mirafiori, which is the iconic post-industrial neighborhood where the Fiat car factories were located, and they're still there, but very few workers are working inside them now. So I just mentioned some main actions within this project. There are different experimental initiatives of environmental sustainability, like the creation of circular economy chains. There is the Turing Food Metrics report, which is, we just presented the first one, which was like the time zero. So to understand the initial picture, it's a monitoring system of based on indicators of the let's say, the status of the food system, and it's very useful to understand how things are changing and if they are changing through the implementation of the project. And then I just mentioned the last one, the creation of Food Council. So we were also in the other session, we're mentioning the need of creating a place and an institutional framework where the many different stakeholders and actors of the food system can co-create the food policy and the food system itself. And the Food Council aims to be that arena. Okay, I just close by zooming in on this activity. It's the Turing Food Atlas, which is like the framework where the Turing Food Metrics is going to be implemented. I'm part of this project, this program, which is at the same time, it's a team. So it's a team of people belonging to different institutions, universities, the city of Turin, the metropolitan city of Turin, and other NGOs and some NGOs. It's a project because it's something that has its own aims, but it's mainly probably an approach and a strategic program based on the fact that knowledge should be the base for every decision taken according addressing food systems, but addressing anything actually. And within the Fusilli project, it has been identified as a tool for co-creating food policies basing on the analysis of the food system. That's it. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Giacomo. It was really interesting, and you indeed raised many important points. Maybe the first one that comes to my mind is the fact that there must be a political interest in carrying on these food initiatives in order to make them systemic and strategic and to turn them into policies. And the dependency on the funds is sometimes it's a challenge, but at the same time we should indeed remember that the political interest and the will to create these policies is probably the first step. And because we are very short in time, I would leave the floor to Elsa from the city of Avignon for the Food Shift 2030 project. And I would like to hear from you what is your strategy in building indeed sustainable food procurement for school canteens in Avignon, and how is the project supporting in this?
Thank you. I will try to be quick, and as you can sense, I have lost my voice, so I will try to speak low. Hello, everyone. I'm Elsa from the city of Avignon, and I will present quickly our project within the Food Shift project 2030. So just a word to present the cities, the living labs involved in the project. We are actually 9 living labs in the Food Shift project that you can see on the map. Obviously, the red point is Avignon in the south of France. We are a medium, small size, we can say, city within 92,000 inhabitants. Just a word for the context, because I represent the city. So the leader in the living lab is really the city of Avignon, so the public actor. And this political will, was linked to a political change in 2015. And the political will was to take in direct management the catering service that is delivering all the school of the city, because just before it was a service provider. So that means this date was the beginning of our transition, our food public transition, we can say. So it was very interesting because it represents a transition from private system to a public one. So that means only processes, but also an aspect of culture, because we were in a private culture and private processes, and we go to a public one. So it's very, very different, and it was a big challenge. And for the staff, that remains the same, more or less, but most of them remain. It was a very big challenge to change their mind and their processes. And also that means that we were empowered as a public actor, because we became autonomous from the action of public procurement, but also to the step of consumption at school, because before we weren't responsible for all the steps. Okay, so yes, just to say that we became a real strong actor of the food chain that we weren't before. It's important, I think, to say it. Just a few words about the context, the general context, because we were involved previously in another European project that is Aliville, that is a research action linked to the INRAE, that is a research structure in France about agriculture and public procurement. And after that, we can also focus on the law, the national French law that is called EGalim, that requires a big change on high quality food products, we can say, within the canteens. And that is currently acting for changes within the canteens. And the third step was obviously our involvement in the Food Shift project that began in 2020. And our 3 innovation focus, as you can read, is about public procurement to increase our partnerships with local and green, we can say, supplier, and to develop a local network, because we have it, but we want to develop it more and more, and to diversify it. The second one is to raise awareness and to fight against food waste, obviously, as everyone who is involved in action about food. And the third one is linked to nutrition and to public health. We are going on more and more closely on this aspect of public health. And we could say that the main question could be how public food procurement can be a driver to envision a city food strategy, because as you just said before, we have some action and a lot of action regarding food that are very relevant in our city, but we don't have a food policy strategy that is named like that. So we are just in that transition, I think. So it's interesting to observe it. A few words to present our food catering. So maybe I don't read everything, but the key point that is we have between 4,000 and 5,000 meals a day. We have more or less 20 meal components local and 30 are organic. We have a small staff of 20 people. That is very few because we are preparing so much meals. So it's very, very few. And it's a very diversified staff because there are so much things to do in a central kitchen. And we can highlight also that the cost for the family, the meal cost, I mean, is around €3 at most, and €1 at least, or even free for the family who have very low incomes. And the price did not change for the last 4 years. And we could say that more or less the price of food per meal is €2. Just to present our main green suppliers, we have other, but this one are the main one. The first one is called AgriLocal, that is an online platform that connects catering services with local farmers that are included in this platform. The second one is Local en Bocal, that is a local structure that is doing soups and compotes only with organic and local vegetables and fruit. And we are very happy to work with them. And the other one is one of the main suppliers for us is a vegetable process unit that is called Les Jardins de Solène. And they deliver us ready-made vegetables. So every day we have some vegetables coming from this vegetable process unit. 1 minute. Oh, okay. So I will be very quick. The second innovation focus about food waste is classical action of wasting and challenges between school to reduce food waste and to organize it with a challenge and a final prize given by the mayor. The other one on the innovation focus, the main project is to recycle bio-waste, because we are really wishing to compost bio-waste. So you can see photo of the equipment we wish to implement on Avignon. But it's hard work, very complicated work. And in this slide, you can see in which way both projects are linked to act against food waste and also to collect bio-waste, because we thought on a unique circuit, so as a loop, to delivery, to collect, and after to compost. So we wish to collect at the same time bio-waste and dirty sustainable containers, because we are eliminating our plastic containers. That is also a big issue for all the central kitchen in France nowadays. A final word about our other projects, because we have so much to set up partnerships, to diversify our partnerships with local producers, as local producers of yogurt and also meat producers, beef producers, and also to set up a survey about food habits in families, because we have a big problem of bad nutrition in our school for the children, and we would like to explore how they eat at home and how is the daily habits regarding food. And we hope that the result will help us to adapt our food catering and our proposition to our children. And okay, just a final word to finish. We are very happy to be involved in the Food Shift project, and obviously the exchange are very rich with the other labs, and we can develop some thematics like public procurement and citizens' involvement regarding food. And we have also methodological inputs that are very strong and that help us about action plan, innovation focus, and things like that. So it's a positive dynamics. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you, Elsa. It was really interesting to hear how public procurement can really be a game changer and support action in different domains of the food system. So congratulations for what you're bringing forward, and we look forward also to see how the food policy will develop. I will now leave the floor to our last panelist for today, Karine, who is connecting from the city of Bruges online. Let's see if the connection works. And she will be speaking about the Cities 2030 project. Let's see if we manage to get the connection. In the meantime,
hello, everybody.
Hi, Karine.
Hi.
It's good to see you. Thank you for joining us online. And we would be really interested to hear about what the city of Bruges is doing. We know that you have a lot of experience, and now you are exploring, let's say, new fields. So how do you match the daily commitment on food policy and the participation in Cities 2030 project, especially in the initiative that is targeting more senior citizens? The floor is yours. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, and thank you for the invitation to share our work here. I'm trying to share my screen. I don't know if that's worked. Just put it...
Not yet.
Is that okay? Yeah, well, so I'm just putting in presenting mode.
Yes.
I don't know, do you see now already our famous building in Bruges, the Belfort, who is covered in vegetables, not in real size, of course. I'm just talking about how we started. We started already in 2015, and then we facilitated a bottom-up co-creative process to build our sustainable food policy. And that was within the EU DEAR funding Food Smart Cities project for development. And it's called Brugge smaakt, or if I translated it, it's Bruges is tasty. And we have 6 themes in our food policy, and that is farm to fork, urban agriculture, urban gardening, food waste, fair trade, education, and that involves projects like good food at school, sustainable fish, eating less meat, or a few of the projects that comes in the project team education. Now, we also signed the Milan Urban Food Policy Pact in 2015, and last year we also signed the Glasgow Food and Climate Declaration, because we really want to be a part of our ambition to become climate neutral in 2050. And the food policy is also approved by our city council, and even since 2017 we only serve sustainable food at our own events, and we made a manual for our colleagues of other city services how they have to do that, where they can buy the sustainable food, or what is sustainable food, all terms like that is found in that manual. Now, did we do this alone? No, of course not. We asked all our citizens, organizations, knowledge institutions to help us. We wanted really a co-creative food policy, and there was so much enthusiasm. You see, all the people here are all part of our meeting and knowledge platform, the Bruges Food Lab, and we all work together around the 6 themes of our food policy to really make a change in Bruges. And there was so much enthusiasm even after the EU projects that we still exist as Bruges Food Lab. And since this year, the city also financed a coordinator, so we can do more projects. We're with more people now working around sustainable foods, and we really work closely together on projects. We're now about 48 participants, and among them are farmers, hotel schools, restaurants, NGOs, knowledge institutions. So together we have a real wide variety on and organizations that work with us to really implement our food policy. And we really want to engage different target groups on the different themes in our food strategy. For example, for citizens, they can participate in a yearly contest, and when they have an interesting food project, they can receive finance from 1,500 to 5,000 euros to fulfill their projects. Now, I really want to talk about a project we already did in 2017, because that really was the beginning for further projects. We reduced the food waste in the healthcare sector, and one of the participants was Rudderstove, that's a catering operator, and they serve about 6 care institutions for elderly people, and they are related to the Public Center for Social Welfare. And when the University of Venice asked us to participate in the Cities 2030, and we realized that it is really about encouraging people to participate from becoming passive members to really engaging active members, we thought that was really a good opportunity to have all the objectives and obstacles we found in the food waste project to do something more about it. So We search for other partners. We act as a policy partner, and we also have Vives, who is a knowledge institution who also is a member of our Bruges Food Lab, and they are our research and innovative partner. Ruderstove works once more again with us as a meal preparation and delivery service, and Mintus is the care partner with a focus on elderly. Because we realized in our food waste project from 2017 that the eating experience and involvement of those people was really important to reduce food waste. And we did not only want to reduce food waste, we also wanted to do something about sustainable meals and also the delivery to the people at home. So Cities 2030 gives us an opportunity to focus on that target group, and we really want to do a co-creative project for a better meal service for the vulnerable elderly people, so over 65, who are still living at home or go regularly to social service centers in the Bruges region. And it's about their meal, their health. So we explore new possibilities, both, as I said, in preparation of the meal as in the delivery of the meal through a co-creative ambition. Ruderstove, which is responsible for the meal preparations, they are testing out the inventions of Vives in this pilot project. And concretely, we still have to start with COVID. It's been difficult to go to the people at home, so we're going to have to go a step further next year. But the first year, they will look at the extent to which meal delivery at home takes vulnerable target groups into account. And we're looking for methods to give vulnerable target groups a voice when it comes to nutrition. And that's also in line with our sustainability criteria that we work around ecological, economic, and social sustainability. And as a city, we also want to act as a front runner. So we want to share experiences, how to set up a food strategy and work with a meeting and knowledge platform. And I think we are with 41 partners in the Cities 2030 project. So I think we can learn a lot from all the other cities because many different food actions will be set up. But the setting up and implementing of the innovations that Vives will come up with will only be for the third and fourth year. So it's until October 2024. So I hope we will meet again so I can tell you all about the results of the things we have come up then. So that was really quick. I hope that was interesting for you to hear. Stop sharing.
Thank you, Karen. It was very, very interesting to hear how you engage with the more vulnerable citizens and how indeed you make sure that the elderly are also part of the projects. It's not a category that we hear often speak of. So thank you for your contribution. I believe your project is very, very original, and we should always remember about how to involve vulnerable communities and vulnerable citizens in our food strategies, especially after COVID. I think that as well the digitalization gap is one of the big barriers to reaching out to these citizens. We always give for granted that through technologies we could do that, but actually it's not always so. While food is probably the best way to reach to all target groups. So thank you for your intervention. And I would like to invite the public, if you have any question, to raise your hand. I think we have time to take maybe one or two questions or comments. We have a question just at the end of the room. Thank you.
Can you hear me this way, or is it? Okay. Good morning, everybody. Thank you very much for these very interesting presentations. My name is Marcin Bono. I'm an expert from the Pact program. I actually have 3 very short questions in case they can be addressed. The first 2 questions are really addressed to 2 cities, City of Warsaw and Avignon. As far Yeah, as far as I understand, it's still the outskirts of the project, but I would be very curious to know just a bit more about what you started to sketch. So first of all, in terms of living labs, scenario designs for using nudges, for example, in terms of food waste, what are you planning to do? Or what have you already started to design more concretely? How is it going to work? For Avignon, in terms of public procurement as well, if you have some more concrete example and cases of what's been done or what you're going to do. I'm sorry, I got a bit lost in terms of timing of what you have done and what you will do. And the last question for the European Commission, if Ms. Fabry is still with us, I was wondering, we had a very nice overview of the EU context leading to these projects, but I was wondering how these projects and their results will feed into future EU policy developments. Thanks a lot.
Thank you for the very good questions. I'm scared as you pose very interesting, but three of them we will not be able to take other questions from the public unless you have a very pressing one. So I will start maybe from Natalia. If you would like to answer to the first question, I will just repeat it for you. If you could maybe concretely describe what are the actions to really work on food waste in Warsaw. Thank you.
So the truth is that we don't know yet what will be designed, because we are waiting for the next workshops where we will invite stakeholders, and this will be also different sets of stakeholders regarding the target groups. So the first thing we will do next is to define when we will engage them at what stage of our processes. We will also launch the experts analysis, and then we will invite them and sit together to work on designing the solutions. First analyzing the obstacles, the barriers, and then finding also the creative solutions. And we also have this dimension of technology first. So one of the solutions, we would like it to be based on technology too. So shortly.
Thank you. Thank you for the brief answer. And I guess each group will also develop different solutions according to their sector in this case. I will ask Elsa if you would like to quickly answer as well the question.
Yes. We have already done big challenges between the schools, the canteen, because we have 36 canteens, so we have already organized this type of weighting and challenges against food waste before COVID. After COVID, we would like to do it again and to do it more often during the school year. So we are currently doing it, and we are also organizing workshops with canteen staff. I mean the staff who is serving children, to set up an action plan to reduce food waste in the way they serve children, because it's one of the factors that can influence a lot the food waste. And we are also making workshops within the central kitchen on the step of the preparation, because we have food waste also on this step. I mean, when we are cooking. So we are making both. We would like to have an action for each step of the preparation meal. I don't know if it's clear. The question related to public procurement. But you mean in ordering or?
You said there were three actions you had in relation to public procurement, if I remember correctly. And I was wondering whether you had started these actions or whether think about it.
You don't ask about food waste?
No, for you the question was public procurement,
okay,
but
sorry.
I'm taking too much time. I can ask you later on in the break.
Okay, sorry.
Thank you so much. And I'm scared we will also have to skip the last question for the European Commission about how they will use the results of these projects. But I guess we can indeed continue the conversation. I think today was really just the start, or maybe the second session for this exchange among the Food 2030 family projects. Thank you so much for this fruitful exchange. And I'm sure we can continue bilaterally and also by organizing other events and workshops to exchange on how our projects are developing. I will now leave the floor to Anya to moderate the next session.
Meanwhile, that I thank all our amazing speakers for today. Thank you, Yale. Thank you, everybody that intervened. It was so interesting to hear what the cities are planning, what they've been doing, where they are aiming to go, and following them in a process. Because that's, I think, what it's the interesting part, is not only to look at the final results, but to look at the process they are taking. I would like to invite our next speakers on the floor with me. Filippo Gavezzani from the Milan Urban Food Policy Pact Secretariat. And my deepest apologies, Ruslan Galiaskmeto. Thank you very much. Can I move around after sitting so much? So as I mentioned, what we are hearing today was mainly related to EU. So from the European Union, from Europe, lot of experience, lot of lessons learned. We are also lucky we have access to quite a lot of resources, but the ambition of the European cities is not only about changing their living labs, their local territory, but also to share with other cities across the world, other cities in Europe, other cities across the world. And this is what we want to discuss today. What opportunity to share these processes, this lesson learned, outside of Europe. Really, what kind of lesson learned can we take? So my first question will be for Filippo, especially, so you are very much in contact with a lot of the cities of the Milan Urban Food Policy Pact. So what are their priorities? Do you think the work streams coincide with the one that was presented today? There was, at the very beginning, a focus on food aid, a focus on food waste, but what are the priorities?
Okay. Thank you, and it's a pleasure to see you all for the, let's say, kickoff of this 7th Global Forum. We are very excited. The Milan Urban Food Policy Pact, as you may know, was launched in 2015, and we passed the first 5 years in creating, let's say, a strong membership and also strong governance, and maybe Ruslan then we'll say something about this, as he is the steering committee coordinator. So we have very different cities and also very different stage, let's say, of food policy advancement. But I think that the thing that all these more than 200 cities now have in common is that they are eager to learn from one to another. And so we, and of course, every city can, let's say, focus on a particular topic of the food system. So from governance, and we saw it also during the co-creation panel. So from governance to school canteens, from food waste to wholesale markets. And for the future, and well, for the present as well, the Secretariat has the duty, let's say, of putting contact and create synergies among the cities that wants to share, from the cities that maybe are more advanced in some particular aspect and cities that want to learn. We are doing this through the Milan Pact Awards. I don't know if, well, many of you maybe are familiar with this, and Andrea also mentioned this at the beginning. It's, let's say, the most important, our most powerful tool to understand what cities are doing in their respective, let's say, context, and what are, let's say, also the learning needs. And then it's our duty to create synergy and put these cities in contact. Of course, and I close, the European call for fundings are fundamental. And what we are doing is, let's say, using these opportunities to connect European cities, but also, when possible, to connect European cities with extra European cities, as is the case of food trails. Maybe we can follow on this after. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Filippo. And now a question for Mr. Galiakhmetov. Again, now you're part of the Milan Urban Food Policy Pact steering group, so the city of Kazov, it's decided to become more involved in the process. So how you're taking the opportunity?
So I'll just want to briefly tell how we ended up being a steering committee coordinator. We first learned about the Milan Pact in 2018 when we participated with the city of Milan at the Guangzhou Award for Urban Innovation. They were presenting the Milan Pact project, and They became one of the 5 winners of the Guangzhou Award. And we were presenting a project of social economic development of Kazan, and one of them was healthy cities, healthy nutrition. And then we stayed in touch with the Milan Pact team. They invited us to participate at the Milan Pact Award, and from the first time we have received a special mention and received the award, the prize, during the previous global forum that took place in Montpellier. After that, we have benefited a lot from being the Milan Pact community members, so we also received other awards, and we were invited to the Food and Agricultural Organization of UN for international consultations to tell about our project. And the project was the reforming school nutrition system. So we have a Department of Food and School Nutrition of Kazan, which is one of the largest probably in Russia. It provides meals to 185,000 citizens, and 90% of the citizens are children. So it's kindergartens, high schools, elementary schools, and patients at the hospitals. So with this project, we joined the Milan Pact Award. So I would also, using this opportunity, encourage other cities to participate and share your best practices. Then in 2011, there was a call to join the steering committee of Milan Pact. We of course, applied, and cities of our region, which is Eurasia and Southwest Asia, supported us. So we, with the city of Tel Aviv, became the steering committee coordinators. And thanks to the trust and support of other 12 steering committee members, we were elected as steering committee coordinator this year. And in June 2021, this year, we have hosted the first regional forum in Eurasia, Southwest Asia. Previously, we had only one global forum, which was in Tel Aviv. And that was also very successful. We had like 2 days of event, 11 plenary sessions, 37 online participants, and 63 offline participants, and speakers, and about 1,000 online and offline speakers. So we really benefit from the Milan Pact Award community, and we hope that we could also contribute to its success, and we'll do our best. Thank you.
Thank you very much to both. It's great to see how the work on food doesn't stop in Europe, but actually goes forward, of course. So this is what we want to see. We would like to see Milan Urban Food Policy Pact signatories all over the world, and particularly in certain regions, not only in Europe. So do you see any opportunity from the work that is happening in Europe? What are the common fields of action? Maybe first, Filippo.
Yeah. Well, let me start by saying that we, as the Milan Pact Secretariat, are very happy to host this side event at the beginning of this global forum, because this is an example on how cities that maybe are part of different consortia then start to work together, and this is in the true Pact spirit, let's say. So also, if you are interested, we invite also the cities of the other consortia to join us in the Pact. We are pushing a lot the regionalization processes, and we are empowering the steering committee members that represent the 6 Milan Pact regions. So this is why we have organized 6 workshops that will take place this afternoon and tomorrow morning on developing, let's say, a common leadership plan on food policies to the 2 years ahead. So we will definitely organize next year and the following one many regional forum, because we know that same region, more similar contexts, more similar challenges, and maybe it's easier also to find solutions together. We are working a lot, and I conclude with this, we are working a lot when it's possible, as I mentioned before, with EU fundings to involve extra EU signatory cities from the Pact, and this is the case, for example, of food trails. We have 20 extra EU, let's say, supporting cities that will benefit, let's say, from the fundings of food trails, and we have already involved these 20 cities that goes from Washington, D.C. to La Paz, from Seoul to Cape Town to Kazan. And we are looking forward to make available this knowledge and to share with this, let's say, core group of following cities. And this is one. When, on the contrary, involving in the EU call for funding, also extra EU signatory city is possible. We are very happy, and we have just started a EURC program that will involve Milan and some Thai and also Indonesian cities. So we are very excited.
I think maybe not everybody knows what is IURC.
Okay, maybe Pablo can say something, that he is here with us in the,
Would you like to
question,
say just because I think it's a very interesting process also going on there.
And also thank you for being here.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, I'm normally, well, my name is Pablo Gandara. I'm normally based in Bangkok, indeed, and running implementing an European project there, strengthening cities cooperation worldwide. And one of the themes is urban food. So here we're very happy to pair up with Milan especially, and as you just mentioned, Milan will be working together with Bangkok within a city partnership to be launched probably in November, and the other partnership we're supporting is going to be Rome with Bandung. So tomorrow morning we're going to listen a little bit more about it. This program is a global one, so probably it's quite interesting also for the other regions, but I'm coordinating the work in Asia with that. Thank you very much.
As I said, it's something maybe a bit more for those of you involved in international cooperation, is the International Urban Cooperation financed by the European Commission. Just small explanation. So maybe also a word on how the opportunities can be taken also and what lesson learned.
Kazan is one of the non-EU cities that is supporting the Food Trails project, and I'm looking forward to that. I'm very interested because it has to do with my previous life, let's say, when I was working in academia, PhD student, postdoc at the University of Bologna, and I was involved in many of these kind of horizon framework programs that also, in my case, it were the technology transfer, university, industry link, and knowledge transfer. So here I think also all parties will benefit, both academics, practitioners, and municipalities from this kind of project. Academics will have access to interesting field, unique data, which will allow them to do a relevant and valuable research that may result in a good publications. Practitioners, municipalities will have a chance to have the measures to monitor their success, and cities will understand in which aspects they are doing good and can share their best practices. In which aspects they have to improve, and how they can improve. And usually these kind of projects, they create a sort of database of best practices that then is used for training the cities. And of course, I think not only European cities, but also non-European cities also will benefit from this kind of research. So I'm very looking forward to that. We are happy to contribute and benefit from its results. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. So I think we are all glad to see that knowledge doesn't stop in Europe, but we can bring it forward beyond any other continents and the other geographical area of the Millennium Food Policy Pact. So maybe I can take one question, because actually we have 4 minutes before lunch. One question, one comment. Is there any other city in the room that is not from Europe and is looking forward maybe to learn from the experience of European cities? Okay, no other city from outside of Europe. Is there a city from Europe that are not involved in the 5 European project, but are looking forward also to follow their work? There is half a hand there. Okay, so, okay. Would you like to have, say, maybe a comment?
Maybe you can listen to me? Yeah? It's okay for the streaming?
I have to hold it for
Okay, thanks. Well, my name is John Aguirre. I'm responsible for the Spanish National Urbac Point. We are having later a new session, but this is not an advisory advertisement for that. What I was thinking, and since there are some Montserrat, the friends from Montserrat also, and I think maybe people from Vitoria and other cities that are participating in Urbac, and we already commented with Andrea also, we see a lot of similarities between the projects, tools, and knowledge that is being gathered through these H2020 projects and the Urbac projects and networks. So I think that it will be really interesting to have somehow a connection and sharing connections, since also for the next period it will be this transfer idea is also very important to somehow build bridges and find how we can gather all this knowledge. We have a food knowledge hub also in Urbac, and I don't know, maybe create, I don't know, an event together or something like that, or see some study visits. And I think that this will be a great idea. Marceline, I think that you agree with this also, right? Okay, so that was the comment. Thank you.
Thank you indeed. And again, we are here as a cluster of projects, a cluster of cities. The opportunity that John mentioned about the event of this afternoon at 4:30 in the room 1 is perfectly another cluster of cities. The idea to exploit the Eurocities, the Milan Pact as a platform to connect all of this opportunity is a perfect neutral space to do this kind of exchange. And Filippo and the steering committee of the the steering committee of the Pact is the perfect neutral space to connect each other and together. And again, also, as Pablo mentioned, outside Europe with other kind of program. And let me say a big thank you to Anya De Cunto, that is from Eurocities, is a policy advisor and coordinator of some action within Eurocities, and is a focal point since the beginning of Eurocities Working Group Food. So please, a big round of applause for all the speakers, for Yael and Anya, and for sure for the host of all of this event.
Can we say also a big congratulations to Milan? One more time.
But I think that no one... Yeah, so not yesterday, here with us there is also the Vice Mayor of Milan, Anna Scavuzzo, but maybe after in the plenary session you can learn more from her. Few days ago, what happens, a huge global event hosted by the Prince Williams and Kate Middleton, and that was the first edition of the Airshot Prize. That was an international, the most prestigious prize of environmental initiative. Nobody one can be applied from themselves, but need to be nominated from other external and relevant partner. The C40 network of cities nominated Milan as a participant of this initiative, again with other 700 of other initiatives all around the world. We were selected as finalists of this event 1 month ago. And a few days ago, in a wonderful place on the top of our cathedral, connected with London, and also Giulia Bertezzaghi from Polytechnic of Milan was together with us, Filippo, Elisa, and all of the Milan staff. And finally was announced that Milan won the first edition of the Airshot Prize, and we find 1 million of sterling, of pound, to invest in our local food waste hub, because the practice that was candidated was the local food waste hub in Milan, and we want to exploit that money to strengthen at local level in Milan this hub, and with the Secretariat to transfer this solution in all the Milan Pact community. So please stay tuned, because we will engage you also in this opportunity, and we have also the support of the Royal Foundation and of the Prince William itself, His Royal Highness, that will be Milan in the next year, and also with all of these prestigious opportunity. Thanks again, and we need to follow the event of this day.
enjoy the Global Forum.